Hello. We just want to share with you today some really exciting things on today's episode. The three must do things for your RV life. And we want you to stay through to the end because we have something as number 3 must do that could change your life.
That's right.
The RV life. We're surrounded with the message that it's a life you have to wait until retirement to have, and a life that only some can afford. And while it might be reality for those who want to believe that's true, we're on a mission to change that mindset and help people to stop wondering and start wandering to create a life they love.
Join us in conversations about how to design your RV life. We're Bryan Luann Street, and this is the RV Living Show.
Well, welcome everyone to today's episode.
Yes.
We just want to welcome all of you who are watching with us live and those who will be on the replay. We're just excited that you joined us today for the 3 must-do things if you own an RV, right? These are 3 things that we really feel strongly about, that if you have an RV, that you need to try to do these things so that it can make your life better, right?
Yeah, it's basically getting more out of your RV. That's what it is.
That's right. You know, you bought it. It was a big investment. And now, you know, how are you going to use it? And how are you going to have that return and maybe even measure that return of your investment that translates into memories and happiness?
That's right. So let's dive in.
All right. So this is going to be the 3 things that you must do if you have an RV. And so the first one is make a plan to use it, right? So Bryan, why don't you talk a little bit about that?
Well, that's an important thing to think about, because I remember when we had our first RV, we tried to intentionally make a plan to use it. But I remember there's times that we let the week go by, and then we didn't plan something. Then we missed out on a weekend, a lot of opportunities. So I think there's a lot more to this than just.
Yeah. So if you're not full time, right, you have to plan your RV trips or excursions or however. I mean, it may not be like a whole week long thing, but you may be using it on weekends or holidays. And, you know, time can go by so quickly that before you know it, you didn't make that reservation for Memorial Day or Labor Day. We did that. We did that a lot.
Yeah, we learned to really start planning ahead, especially for the holidays. If you want to get out and use it.
Yes, because everyone wants to camp on those 3-day weekends, right? They're excited, and that's the time that they can get out and use it. And if this is the time that you can get out and use it, you just want to make sure that you plan to actually do it.
Exactly. Be more intentional, because life does get in the way.
It does. And we've met people before that have actually regretted buying their RV because it ended up to be parked in their yard and they never used it. So it becomes a really expensive piece of yard art. And that's something none of us want to have, right?
It is. Life does get in the way. And I remember we stored our RV at a storage unit, our first one. And we'd go down there, and every time I'd go, I'd see the same RVs parked there. I'm wondering, how often do these get used?
Yeah. So, that could also be something you bought it and now it's in storage. And maybe in the beginning, maybe you were super excited and you used it all the time because that's how it was for us. And then pretty soon you let that time, those days, weeks go by. Maybe you didn't put in for your vacation in time. Maybe you didn't plan ahead to make the reservations for the campground you wanted to go to. And it all just got away with you. And so that all comes back to planning. As you know, we're big proponents of planning. Probably me more than him, but he gets along for the ride because of
she gets to plan.
I'm a planner. But we want you to just really think about this must do in your RV life today. Is if you are not full time and you have it parked somewhere, either in your yard or a storage unit, you don't want it to just be a storage unit payment. You don't want to think about your RV as just being another expense that you don't get any joy or benefit from.
Yeah, thinking of getting more out of it is a lot of different ways people use RVs.
Yep.
We see them a lot of times parked in a RV park where some may perhaps get an annual lease, and they'll go there on the weekends and use them. That's one way to use it. We're a big component of since an RV is made for travel, to travel with it.
Yeah.
You know?
So using it for a destination vacation home is actually a really inexpensive, way. So you don't have to build a home somewhere and you're actually able to go do it. But we're talking about tips that, you're going to be traveling in it and actually experiencing travel as RVs were made to do.
Exactly. Getting more out of the RV.
Yeah. So our first tip in this section of make a plan to use it is to keep it packed and ready to go. We really, that's something that we did before we were full-time. In order to make the most of the time that we had on the weekends and after work or on that vacation that we planned to take or whatever, we kept it packed and ready to go for most of the stuff. I know that if your RV isn't plugged in, if it's next to your house, but you don't have power, you can't keep things in the fridge. You also, worry about things getting too hot in there in the summer. So you need to kind of take this tip and do what you can to offset the amount of work that it takes to actually take an RV excursion every time that you want to use it.
Yeah. One other thing you can do is make sure before you're ready to use it, go out and check everything, make sure everything's working, make sure your batteries are charged.
Yeah, especially if it's the first time of the season.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, even if it's set for a couple of weeks, check your tires. You always check your tires anyway, but I noticed, remember one time we went to use our RV and I found the batteries were dead.
Yeah. We even had our grandkids with us and they were going to camp with us for the weekend and we got there and our batteries were dead. And so that was really disappointing.
You learn, live and learn.
Yeah. So the part of keeping your RV packed and ready to go, what I found really helpful, and this is like the number one tip that I can give you about keeping it packed and ready to go, is clean out your kitchen and put all your duplicates in your RV kitchen. And then the other thing is to keep your linens, your RV linens together. So let's say you're done camping, right? You strip everything, you take your towels and you take them in because you're going to wash them. And your RV is in storage or it's parked out in the yard, however, you're keeping your RV. And so what I did is I would wash those RV items. I wouldn't mix them in with my home stuff. I would wash them separately. And when they were done, I would fold them up nicely and put them in like one of those Sterilite lidded bins. And the next time we went to the RV or put it outside, because we've done both scenarios. It's been parked outside our house and it also has been in storage. So we've done both things. But if you have that Sterilite container, all you have to do is pick it up and take it when you go into the RV. And you could do that with all of the things that maybe you don't want to keep in your RV because it gets too hot in there and you don't want it to get ruined. And then of course, food is the last minute where you're going to pack it all up and take it. But that's just something that you have to do. So, but yeah, so take this tip, keep it packed and ready to go, and it'll make it easier to use it more often. So the second thing is to make a travel bucket list. We talked about this in another episode, all about the importance of making a travel bucket list. But the thing is if you're wanting to make a plan to use your RV, if you don't have any ideas on where to go, you're not going to have a plan or enjoy planning about it.
Right.
So take out a piece of paper, get a notebook, or use your travel planner, and write down all the places that you want to do so that when you are making your plan to RV, you have a list of things to pull from.
That also gives you a lot of inspiration to get out and use it, because when you're planning, it's kind of building excitement. It really does.
It is. And research also shows that travel planning makes you happy. It actually almost has the same effect planning it as it does experiencing it. So, get out, get your juices flowing, write down all the things that you want to do, put it on a list, and get inspired so that it will also make you plan your RV excursions in advance so that you don't wake up and go, oh, I didn't do that. Oh, I let another month go by and I didn't do that. You could even turn this into a New Year's thing. You could wake up on New Year's, right? And,
that's right.
And go, okay, we're going to plan out our RV year. Okay, we may be working. We may not have that time. The kids may have soccer. You may have things that you have that are already pre-planned. But be intentional. Get out there and make your plan and go, okay, one weekend a month this year, I'm making a goal. I'm going to use my RV. And then that way it doesn't become that yard art or that storage unit payment that you regret.
Yeah, I remember we got a calendar and we intentionally put dates on the calendar.
Yes, and schedule ahead for those holidays.
That's right.
If you're going to camp on the holidays, try to figure it out on New Year's Day and plan those out for your year. You'll be really glad that you did that.
Yeah, another thing about planning, you don't have to plan everything all in one time.
No, it's more about picking the time that you're going to go and then come back and, just make sure that that's on your calendar, that you're going to make the time.
Right. Then pick your destinations and, you can do the research on each destination to find out all the little neat things to go do when you're there.
That's right. Okay. So before we go to our third most important must do, we have something that we want to share with you, and that
this episode of the RV Living Show is brought to you by the Complete RV Travel Planner, the only travel planner made specifically for the RV lifestyle. Get yours today at rvtravelplanner.com.
Okay, so now we're going to talk about number three. All right, we're more excited about this than you may be at this point, but we really think that everyone who owns an RV should at least one time in their thinking process consider a full-time RV lifestyle.
That's right.
There are a lot of limiting beliefs, and if you don't know what a limiting belief is, it is something that you think in your head makes you not be able to do something. And in this case, a full-time RV lifestyle if it's not for you, although I don't know that you'd be watching us if it wasn't completely like you didn't have that at least in the back of your head. But, if it's not for you, then, you would never consider one. But I think a lot of us who have RVs or want to RV think that the full-time RV lifestyle is unattainable, that there are reasons, right? And what are some of the reasons we've discovered?
Yeah, it's amazing that when we tell people, I go to a store somewhere, we tell people, we full-time RV, the responses we get are, most all of them is with excitement, but a lot of them say, man, I want to do that someday, like when I retire, or, where something significantly happens in their lives. Another thing they say, they that's cool, but, I just can't afford that lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
That seems to be a big response. And another one says, I do find this response sometimes, I just can't live in a small space. Don't think I could do that.
And so we're here to say today that those are all limiting beliefs, and we'll tell you why, because we actually have experienced all three of those limiting beliefs. We thought we had to wait till we retired. We did not think that we could afford it now. And we were apprehensive about living in a small space. But the thing is if you have even the smallest desire, you owe it to yourself to check it out, to just see, to gain more knowledge and possibly create something that you never even thought of. I mean, we had no idea that our life would take the trajectory that it did because of a decision, or that we even stopped for a minute to really ponder, could we do that?
Right.
And so that's what we're telling you today, that one of the must-dos for your RV life is to at least once in your RV life consider a full-time RV lifestyle.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we are going to see who's here. But first, we want to ask you a question so we can talk to you in the comments about this week's topic. So which one of these must-dos from today's episode do you feel you would benefit from in your RV life? So you guys can post away in the comments, and we want to tell you while people are posting so we can go interact with you. So we actually have a roadmap for you. If you're interested in full-timing, we have a get started full-timing roadmap in this episode. It's either above or below this episode, depending on where you're interacting with us. And you can get that roadmap for free. And it's 5 steps to getting started in a full-time RV life. And we just want you to use that as a start considering. Is it something that you even could think about doing? And if it's not, great. It's not for everyone, but you owe it to yourself to figure it out if you have the desire.
That's right.
Okay, so let's go to the comments. So here we go. Good morning, Joanne. Thanks for joining us. Tina, hello. Scott's here with us. Hey, guys. Oh, we haven't seen you in a while. Thanks for joining us. And Leslie says, howdy from Houston. The last time I went on a trip a week and a half ago, I finally, for the first time, left my clothes and basics in the RV instead of schlepping it all back and forth. Took all the food out, though. Yeah, see?
That's how you do it.
So, I mean, I used to do that, too. I used to keep my clothes, like I'd call them my RV clothes, and they would stay in there for at least, 3 pairs of underwear and a nightgown or night clothes. He doesn't wear a nightgown, so he'd want me to clarify that. So, and shorts and pants. I mean, because you don't know the weather, but I'm sure we all have enough clothes that you could separate out some and just keep them in there for your RV.
That's right. We even took a lot of double things we had in our house.
Yes.
And brought them to the RV.
It's surprising how many duplicate things we have.
That's amazing. Yes.
Kimberly says greetings, and she says that she loves to plan. That our planner genuinely helps her in this area. I'm so glad. It helps us too. So we were our first customer because it really does help. And Joanne says, can't wait to start our full-time RV life. Well, that's great, Joanne. You are already considering this and you're on your way. So that is super exciting. Oh, yeah. So next week, we're going to jump into 6 habits of highly successful RVers. So you're not going to want to miss that, because you want to make these habits in your life so that when you experience your RV life, that it's everything that you imagine that it's going to be.
That's right.
So we'll see you next week, and we hope to see you live.
Take care.
Bye. Oh, sorry, I did the wrong thing.
Thank you for joining us for the RV Living Show. We hope this episode helps you in creating an RV life you love.
Until next time, we encourage you to stop wondering and start wandering.